Squatters.
You didn't say the magic word.
Please! Who don't pay rent.
Deadbeat tenants. They've learned to play the game.
And that's who's lived here for the last 9 months. And they know what they're doing.
Hello?
What's up, landlords? Let me show you why it doesn't pay to be a cheap and lazy landlord. Watch this video, and at the end, we're going to talk it through.
Karen and Skip Moriarty have been renting their Fair Oaks home for the last 34 years.
We made it into an investment.
Craigslist is cheap, free.
When a couple named Ann and Mario Figueroa reached out, they met for a house tour.
Had a nice long conversation, wonderful people.
To seal the deal, Karen requested documents, including a credit report and 401k statement.
He has 20 times as much as I have in my 401k.
With that, Karen and Skip handed over the keys in August 2022. Immediately, there were problems.
In September, they were late. We deeply apologize. Mario's grandfather passed, then his mother.
That's when they stopped paying altogether. Without rent, Skip and Karen had to cover the mortgage.
I'm holding off buying Christmas presents.
10 days before Christmas, Karen drove by.
It looked like they were having a party.
Gary Meek is familiar with squatters, but some, he says, are experts.
Unfortunately, there are criminals out there that use amazing talent and education for bad.
He asked to see the documents Mario and Ann provided when moving in and made a discovery.
They've all been falsified. The bank statements, the credit reports, everything has been falsified.
But they discovered something even more astonishing. This is not the first house the Figueroas have squatted in.
They've squatted in this one and this one. In fact, court records show since 2008, there have been at least 8 prior residences in Sacramento County alone that Mario and Ann have lived in for months and not paid rent. One of those homes was Tari Gunn's.
He was just so charmful and helpful and everything, and I thought, well, these are going to be good people.
Right off the bat, rent was replaced with excuses, the same excuses Karen and Skip got.
And it was so hard because they got to live there rent-free.
It took time and money to evict them.
Having to go back and forth, court, filing, just everything. I just incurred so many financial issues that it was really hard.
When she did finally get them out, what she found was shocking.
We went in the house then, and there was a note taped to the sliding glass window that said, see you in bankruptcy court.
Oh my God. They set a trap.
Once I get involved, they can start packing because they're going to go away.
But as we've seen, California law makes it a lengthy and often costly process to evict squatters.
If you follow administrative law, it will go step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and pretty much go by the book, with a few exceptions. And this is one of those exceptions, is when you get professional tenants. The system was not built for people like them. We're so much into victims' rights, but the problem is in this case, they don't see the landlords as a victim.
He says current law treats landlords like they're massive entities with endless funds. It's an issue because it's not true.
About 7 out of 10 properties that are being rented are rented by mom and pop investors.
Instead, homeowners like Karen and Skip have to fight serial squatters.
So this is just theft.
And that's why there needs to be change, he says.
I think that our owners' rights have been taken.
For now, he recommends homeowners do their homework on potential tenants.
You've got to do a background check. You've got to do a criminal eviction, credit, verify your employment, verify your income.
So you guys have not been in at all?
No, not at all.
Tari and our crew went with Karen and Skip as they entered their house.
They had lots of parties, it looks like.
The backyard left a mess.
How does the pool look?
Terrible, it's green.
Oh no.
I'm just happy that they're out of here.
Karen and Skip are owed over $15,000 for rent. That's not including what it'll take to fix the place. And that's why they've decided instead of moving back, they're going to sell.
I'm still working and when I should be retiring.
It's what Tari did too.
I'm not going to be violated again.
I just feel sorry for the next person.
We're on to your tricks. All right, number one, do not list on Craigslist. The reason why is, like in this case, the manipulative type of squatters pretending to be tenants are on there looking to exploit cheap, lazy landlords. Number two, fake documents. Do not let the tenants, prospective tenants, provide their credit report. This is a shortcut that some landlords are doing because they don't want to handle the social security number or collect all the personal information that they need to, pull their credit report. And also the landlords will need to understand how to handle a denial. Like, for example, have an adverse action letter to send any prospective tenants that do not qualify and you deny them from something you find in the report. All right. Overqualified, charismatic, and this rushing to move in. These three right here, I'd like to just point out, when I was in sales, when you sit down with clients, you don't want to sell people stuff that they don't need, right? So you need to be like a doctor. You need to ask questions and diagnose the situation. And then once you know everything about the client or, patient or whatever, then you have the ability to come up with a solution. If your product that you're offering is the solution or you know of something, you can help. But if you can't, you got to be willing to walk away. Or refer them somewhere else. So in the case of, as us being landlords, and you're meeting with prospective tenants, you need to be picky. You don't need to be affixed with getting a yes, going with the first person. And then sometimes landlords will be so infatuated with just getting somebody, or they're in so much pain because they got to pay the mortgage, that they're almost like bending their rules. They'll set a standard, but then they'll lower it, or they'll try to make up excuses to kind of qualify an unqualified prospective tenant. Do not lower your standards. Do not start making excuses or wanting to buy into their lies, or, they're overqualified. They got 20 times what I have in my retirement accounts. First off, I don't know why they're asking for retirement accounts. That's weird. That's probably wrong. You don't need the retirement accounts. You need to know, first off, you need to have your standards and stick to your standards. And if your standards are based off of credit score and background check, that has nothing to do with how much money they have for retirement. So back to what I was wanting to point out is be professional, trust in your system. Don't be so attached to getting a yes from the first person that you show the property to, and trust the system. And also, number 6, they're like manipulative type of people are good at this stuff. They're going to give you guilt trip excuses. Like in this case, they're saying family members are dying to get out of paying the rent and buying on more time. They're good at this. Obviously, if they have a high success rate, they've been doing this for a while and they know what works. So they're better at it than you. If you do get some, guilt trip excuse like that, stay professional. This is a business. If you want to do charity, do that separate from your rental properties. I've learned this lesson the hard way. In my case, when I first started, I had a rental tenant lie and said she had cancer because she wanted to get out of avoiding to pay break the lease early clause that I had, the early termination fee. It's 2 times the rent. Failed for that one. I let her out. And then I found out later by the neighbor that she lied to me and she's friends with her on Facebook. And I was like, oh, got me. All right, not going to happen again. So if we look at this like a relationship, You don't want to be cheap. You want to have high standards with the asterisk here without breaking the law, like fair housing laws. And you don't want to discriminate on like race or handicap or anything like that. You need to know this stuff if you don't already. Be professional. I like to call this the plain vanilla business advantage. You will scare away a lot of scammers if you treat your rental operation like a business. If you have a website, you have a professional domain number, address, and you are advertising on Zillow versus Craigslist, you're going to avoid so much pain just by being professional. And you can't do it if you're too cheap. That's why it doesn't pay to be a cheap, lazy landlord. In the long run, you will pay, because like in this story, they're out $15,000 because of this one instance. They got lucky for 30-something years, but it'll catch up to all of us. One thing I'd like to point out is when I was in the military, active duty, and I was military police, I was stationed in Montgomery, Alabama, and we worked and did training with the local law enforcement. And one thing that I learned is the job, even though it's the same, we're both police, our clientele will make the job either easier or harder. So on base, the type of stuff we responded to was like a nonviolent domestic dispute in base housing. Or maybe we pulled over somebody that was speeding 5 miles over the speed limit, and on base, the fastest you can go was 25 miles an hour on like River Road around like the flight line. And it's just like rolling through stop sign stuff. However, just outside the wire, we had our brethren in arms. They were dealing with crackheads, drug dealers, shootings, drive-bys. I mean, just all kinds of violent crime. And that makes me also think about us being landlords and the type of property you have and where you advertise. What type of clientele are you attracting? If you have a D-class property and it's in a crappy area and you're advertising on Craigslist, what kind of prospective tenant are you going to be attracting? And I like to look at the rental properties like castles, and it's something that lasts forever. You want to fortify it, build a moat around your empire, your castle here. You want to protect it. So just the last little bit of notes I have here about doing a background check with the asterisk. You got a safe handling of their personal information. If you're collecting their social security number and you want a copy of their social security card, and you're saving that on your computer, it should not be a public computer. It needs to be a business, private computer that has a password protected and it has antivirus protection, because you have to be a good steward of their personal information by law. You need to, do this. And if you print anything that has their personal information on it, you need to have a shredder, need to be able to shred this. Whenever you're looking up their background check and you're running credit and stuff like that, in this case, you're in the background check, you're looking for serious crimes in recent history, evictions, and then you might need to also learn how to look up the civil court matters in your local area. This is something that if you don't know, you need to figure it out. And credit, you're going to see their whole credit report. You're going to be able to see if there's any delinquencies, high credit card utilization, balances, bankruptcy, and all that stuff. And you need to know what to do if you disqualify somebody and you don't approve them by finding something on their credit report. Verify employment, verify income, stability. That's you calling the place of employment. You might have to get them to give you a consent of some sort, because if you call their company and you're requesting to speak to their HR department, they're going to be like, all right, who are you? I don't trust you. Do you have permission to be requesting this information? You might have to provide them, the consent, and you need to learn how to do all that. Also, if they're giving you a number for their place of, employment, Google the place and look up the number online and make sure it matches the number they give you, because you don't want them to be tricking you and you're calling their friend and they're pretending to be their boss. You need to also have your own standards and stick to them, and do not try to lower your standard. And it goes back to like sales. You don't want to sell anybody something they don't need. So you want to make sure these tenants need your property. They can, afford it, and you don't want to cause problems by breaking your rules. Set your standards, stick to them. 650 one or higher. So the household income needs to be 2.5 times the rent. And when you're getting them to apply a rental application, you need to collect an application fee so you can pay to, pull these reports, run the background check and credit report and all that stuff. Max occupancy, 2 person per bedroom. Pet limit, like defined as cat or dog. Smoking, no. Renters insurance is required, yes. Crime, no deal breaker crimes. For example, arson within 7 years. Because depending on your area, your local municipality and stuff, sometimes they get crazy depending on what state you're in. And they may not let you discriminate against criminal background history, depending on, how far it's out, like a sex offender, something they did like 20 years ago versus, a recent sex offender. You need to learn that stuff in your local area. And then when you set your minimum standards, make sure you're not violating fair housing laws. And when you're writing your listing, don't be saying stuff like, this is a children friendly, rental or big backyard for kids. You want to stick to strictly business. Just don't use all these like fancy words and everything. Just say exactly what you got. And none of this, you're not a realtor. You're not trying to like fluff this up and make it seem like it's the best thing ever. All right. I think, that's enough for now. I hope it was helpful for you guys. If you're interested in learning more, I do offer a free landlord mastermind. It's on School. You can check me out online if you're interested in, learning more from me. But that's it for now. Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye.